Alright, so we're basically just gonna do things kind of like how I was alluding to. I don't know, like the way I look at it, it doesn't matter how I splice it. It's gonna be kind of awkward with the way that video is ending anyway. So, from here, I went ahead and I turned in my spirit orb, so I got an extra heart. And I upgraded my weapon stash so now I can carry one more weapon. I also made a little bit more money as well, but other than that, not too much has happened. So I'm going to go ahead and try this because I know for a fact we can guarantee it, do the beginning right now. If I'm lucky, I can do the middle, but I want to do this. Alright guys, you're in for a lot of fucking post-commentary and a lot of different music styles going on here. It wasn't planned this way, but I was like, you know what, I want to mess with this. Like when I get into the editing thing, sometimes ideas come, so we'll see if you can pick up on it. But opening off, like, they give you nothing, and then they give you a boko, a tree branch, if you want to go ahead and use that. But if you just use a single bomb, that's enough to take everyone out. So instinctively, a huge difference from the way I played right there versus the way I did all the other times before is I would not use the axe to go ahead and blow up, you know, boxes and stuff. Or I would not use the axe to chop down boxes. I'd always use bombs as much as I can. I would try and be as restrictive as possible because I was like, I gotta make this equipment last as long as possible. You don't actually have to. Take liberties as you need to. It's going by a lot quicker than I thought. When I was up there on that stuff, I was trying to get everything I could up there to save myself some arrows, because in other words, you gotta shoot down the bridge to climb up there, and I didn't want to have to go do that, so I took everything down all at once. Here's another example. Go ahead, use bombs, take out the chew jellies like that. You can go get those chests a couple of ways. I want to say there's one you can go ahead, the tree's just close enough where you can shit, I don't know if it was jump to it or use a bomb on it or something, but you can get it. But you could also just use the updraft, you can use fire off the fire arrows, however you choose to do it. But I highly suggest you at least use bombs to get rid of the flaming chew jellies, this way you're guaranteed to not hurt yourself. The rest is up to you. Now, at that point there's no shame because they already know you're there. Thing falls down. Right here I get really lucky and that guy walks right into the explosion like an idiot. He's like, oh wow, what the fuck was that? He just goes for it. But yeah, overall I think this went pretty well. Admittedly, this is the second take. The first take I just got fucking decimated. I don't know what it was, but I had the worst luck of anything ever. I swear, right there when I threw that extra barrel down and it worked a second time, I was like, yep, this has got to be the one. And sure enough, this thing worked out pretty damn well. Wander around, make sure you're not forgetting anything. Sometimes there's treasure around. Like, I hate to say it's like second instinct for me, but like at that point, doing it enough times, it just kind of gets a little bit iffy. Ideally, what I want to do is I'm trying to gut these guys away because I seem to have really terrible luck with this part, where it's like, hey, you know that fucking explosion? Well, they lived through it, and then there's like 5 of them all chasing towards you with a bunch of flaming weapons and beating the shit out of you, and it hurts. I don't know why, for whatever reason during this run, I just kept having terrible luck, but when I did it the other day, I was having no problems at all. So, I don't know, it's kind of annoying, but it's whatever. Another case of like, again, now that you know the materials are incredibly, you know, expendable, go ahead and take advantage of it. Heal yourself up as much as you can. This is a nice strategy to use with the stone talus here, is to go ahead and just beat him with this metal box, because otherwise it's kind of hard. The best idea for you is to go ahead and climb up on him and use the Moblin Club, but even then, I don't have the stamina to go ahead and just keep spinning at him for hours and hours. So unfortunately, I can only get like a little bit, and then I'm like, alright, well, let's go ahead and try and finish him off with this box. When I did this, the failed take, where I died, he kept hitting me, and I was just getting my ass decimated. I was like, I don't understand it. They give you a ferry in all these rest areas. They give you one rest area. All the crates on the actual floors, those are all randomized, but the rest areas are always pretty consistent, so I like that. Yeah, see, like, this is what I mean. When I came to this part, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, you know, rest area, Kirby. I wanted to use the Kirby music, but I was like, nah, I shouldn't do that. That'd be stupid. And of course the Great Fairies fountain comes to mind. Now right here, you can see me doing a trick that I actually just recently learned, and that's that you can actually cook wood and turn it into food and eat food. If you stack it up where it's like 5 wood, it still only turns into rock hard food that only heals a quarter of a heart. But that's still something I didn't even know you could do. So, like, you learn shit, and it's crazy how much is in this game. So I guess if you're ever desperate, you can go ahead and just use wood to go through things like that. Here we go. Environment change, song change. I actually noticed upon doing this that it wasn't quite what I had hoped, but it's alright. Again, metal crate, go ahead, bop that guy. Most of the times when they give you crates like that, they're actually usually empty, so you don't really have to worry too much about checking them out because there's typically not anything in there. Here, take advantage of that, go ahead, electrocute them, and then these guys, oh, I swear, I don't know what it is, but something about the easier floors, it's like, it's harder because you get such weak weapons, and it makes the fights take so long, so you're busy bopping the same guy for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it's ruthless. Now, as of this point, I know there's not going to be another rest area, so I go ahead and just eat the apples the way they are, because I'm not going to be able to cook them again. That's another thing where it's like prior knowledge is really helpful in making sure you can do this well when you actually do complete it. It makes a huge amount of difference. And also in a case like this, fire arrows. I wouldn't have normally done something like that, but with prior knowledge, that makes a fucking huge difference because I can, you know, expend it. It doesn't matter at that point. More arrows. They give you like a lot of the resources you need. I hate to say it's not as hard as it seems, but it's kind of not really. This right here is probably the hardest part I had, was getting Link to fucking climb up here, because every time I walked and I would say, hey Link, jump, paraglide so you can land on the thing, he just kept falling and falling and acting like a dumbass, and I just... Like, I hate to say that this game probably has the worst controls out of any Zelda game, but it really does, because it has so much freedom that when you say, Link, do this precise movement, he doesn't do it. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can go ahead and have the TNT bank on the floor, and then it'll just detonate, but it doesn't work, so I'm like, alright, fine, we'll just plant a bomb there, I'll walk them over there, and trigger the explosion later. I tried doing that, it doesn't seem like it really works, kinda really sucks. But, like, this part sucks the most, because, again, these guys just have so much health, and all I have is a bunch of incredibly weak weapons, so it takes forever, and it's even more annoying because when you knock them into the water, they're so annoying to get out of the water. They will sit in there all fucking day, shooting water, licking you, doing dumb shit while you're just waiting for them to get their stupid ass out so you can play the game. It's so frustrating. Like... Oh, it makes sense because the Zolfos know how to swim as to where most other monsters don't, but that's still it just drags it out and it makes it so infuriating. They give you the little raft, but I don't really think it's advised. Go ahead, just Cryonis your way over, shoot them off one by one. Most of them, thankfully, bow-carrying enemies typically have super low health, so just one shot is all it takes to go ahead and knock them out. They give you shock arrows to take advantage of the wet environment around you. I don't actually think elemental arrows do any more or less damage. I think it's just the added effects and that's it. So like, I say this because I'd been trying things with shock arrows, I'd been trying things with fire arrows and regular arrows, but it all seemed to be about the same damage. Fire being a tiny bit different because at least it has an after effect of like, hey, they're burning, so it's still doing a little bit of damage. But shock, however, doesn't really seem to do any more damage, it just, you know, shocks them, makes them drop their weapon. And this is a case where I'm trying to take the environment to my advantage by using a two-handed weapon, so this way I can get knockback to throw them in the water, so this way they just die quicker, and I can save myself some time and energy. The rest of me in this room is just trying to figure out, like, where they dropped their weapons at so I can take it along with. Like, I was pretty sure there was a dude with a nice shield and sword, but I can't seem to find it, so that's why I'm using Magnesis, is I'm like, it's gonna stand out, but like, I'm looking, and there's not shit there. Eating whatever food I find, and then my dumbass is like, ooh, weapons, and then I'm like, oh wait, those are the weapons I dropped, idiot. So that was a nice, fun little blonde moment. And then right here, the Hinox. Now I actually learned that by accident, because like I knew he had metal anklets on, but I didn't realize, and it, you know, should make a lot of sense, that the shock arrows are really, really helpful against him, so you can basically permanently stun him the whole time. A lot of me fighting the Hinox is just, you know, taking advantage of the bow, but yeah, they gave him metal anklets so you can conduct electricity off of him. Alright, well that's one portion done. Yeah, hooray for me. You guys understand flavor text. But here's what I think is actually kind of interesting. Is, I mean, you can see right there. And the reason I ate that other stuff is because, like he said, you don't get it back when you leave, so go ahead and take what you can out of it. But that's interesting, because I see this, and I guess that's the next... No, that's the next spot. And then that's the final one. Interesting. Okay. That was the thing I didn't realize. Yeah, all this is crap. Expend it. There you go. Finally returned, you look stronger than when I last saw you. The Master Sword wield is more powerful than before. You say it every time. Now, by doing this, automatically the Master Sword is the strongest one-handed weapon probably in the game. So it's worth it. And next we're gonna go do the middle trials. But first I want to go ahead and save real quick because there's something I want to try out. I learned a thing with Monster Elixir, but it seems to be kind of inconsistent. And I feel like if I get the opportunity to try it out, I want to at least try it out. Everything you get, like, beforehand, for instance, I've cut this defense up, if I go ahead and just walk in with it, I keep it. And that's also kind of why what I want to do is this real quick, so this way I can get a little bit of extra hearts too, so this way I can start with more hearts. It's a tiny bit of a waste, but you know, I don't get my full heal, but at least that gives me a tiny bit extra. Now, what is something attack-oriented that I have that's super expendable? I don't have any crabs, so I guess the Razor Shroom's gonna have to do. But basically, in theory, this should be really, really good. See, that's what gets me. Sometimes it varies on how effective it is. I've seen this last 30 minutes, I've seen it last 10 minutes, and I've seen it last 1 minute. I'm not sure what dictates this. Alright, well I went ahead and reloaded my state because I don't want that monster extract being wasted just yet. So we'll just go in with what we've got now and do the middle trials. We should be, for the most part, okay. I just figured if we can get a little bit extra help, that'd be nice too. But we've got this little defense up for another 2 minutes, so I might as well try and take advantage of it, I guess. This one actually took a minute to try and think of, because I was like, well, there's not many wind-based temples in Zelda, so what can I possibly use? And then I remembered the City in the Sky existed. My first thought was the one from Wind Waker, but I just can't stand that music. Like, I can't imagine pleasantly listening to it while I'm trying to commentate shit. I just don't feel like doing it. But anyway, a lot of this area focuses heavily on bullet time to take advantage of stuff like that. So, do what you can, like... This is what intimidated me, because I was like, I don't have the stamina to be able to do this as well as I would want, but at the same time, I try and take advantage of it in just short little bursts, so this way I'm still getting something out of it. There's going to be a lot of times where I'm like, hey Link, could you paraglide? And he doesn't paraglide, so if I jump in place and then just get whacked like an idiot, that's because Link is an idiot. And I want to say, like, right up here is a perfect example of that, where I'm like, hey Link, could you paraglide? And he's like, nope. So yeah, but I'm just taking shit one bit at a time. I'm very glad this thing turned out because I was kind of unsure. Like I didn't know how well this was gonna work, but thankfully it worked out really, really well. Shit, what can I talk about? Yeah, we're going around doing bullet time. Oh yeah, here's a secret about the whiz robes. I didn't actually know this. I thought it was the same dude and he just teleported to a different place, but they're actually two different whiz robes. When you shoot them and get a critical hit like that, they fall to their death. That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. I didn't make the game, so just a nice little tidbit for you. When you're doing it, all you gotta do is hit him in the face, and that's that. It gets harder over here because of the elemental stuff. I did kind of like that I shot him down and I fell down with him. I thought that was really funny. I just didn't have the stamina to withstand what I needed. In other words, when I did it on my full playthrough file, I shot all four, and I thought it was funny to watch the whole thing flip over with him. Oh, that was hilariously horrifying, but still, the animations with that is just beautiful. I love it. The bomb arrows really did a number on me, and I didn't even realize that was happening, so I was like, oh god, I'm in trouble. So yeah, thankfully I just managed to get by and make it work out. And despite how it might seem, Guardian stuff like this always gives me anxiety. It's an easy one-hit kill for them, but it's also super easy to mess it up, because you saw me get my shield broken. Also, apparently there's a bunch of other things around here, I guess, that are meant to help you out. There's balloons carrying a TNT right above the Guardian, so I guess if you want to, you could shoot that down and watch it land on its head. How much that actually does, I don't know, but it's there if you want to use it. Now, we go ahead, get another rest area, and they give us better stuff, which you can actually see, and more importantly, they give us fucking armor. I think it's funny that the first thing they give him is some pants, because, I don't know, in my mind, I think of that bit from Futurama where Bender turns into a human, and it's like, cover your shame, man! I don't know, it's just what jumps to mind. Now, what I try and do is I focus on the stat boosting stuff first, and then I mix normal stuff in with it because if I try and mix and match too much stuff, I don't want to use up all the, the food, the fish, the meat, and then I end up with something that I can't really benefit from because I have one speed thing, one stamina thing, or something like that. This right here is nightmare fuel incarnate, but the best advice I can give you is just flail, take it slow, hope for the best. It looks more intimidating than it actually is, but it's still kind of intimidating. The best strategy I had was I listened to everything. I took my headphones off and I just listened, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Sometimes you can see glowing eyes and you know that they're coming, which that's eerie all the same. Unfortunately, things like stasis, of course, don't actually help it. You would think that it would illuminate them, but for whatever reason it doesn't. I guess it's just to add an extra challenge to this part, but yeah, I feel like it kind of should have, and I say that because I would have liked to have been able to see them and know. It's kind of an annoying guessing game. Right over here, here's another case where I know that I need the meteor rod. The brains in me is right, ice arrows, so I can take advantage of the elements and one-shot them. I got really unlucky and a dude hit me and that did a lot of health, which that scared the fuck out of me. I also learned that there's a spin attack you can use with the meteor rod, which will send fireballs in all, let's say, 8 directions. It's probably more like 12 or something, but you can do that, which is actually really cool. I wonder if the other rods do that too. That's something I should try out. It would be pretty cool. But yeah, you can... There's a proper spin attack with rod-based weapons, and you can really use that. It's weird that, I say that this stuff gives me anxiety, but at the same time, it's when I see that, I at least know what I'm up against right there with that Guardian, and I'm like, okay, well, it's just one thing. All I gotta do is just time this right, and I'm okay. And it's a relief, but also anxiety, because it's I pray to God I can make this, because if it runs through all 3 of my shields, that's it. I'm fucked. But thankfully, it worked out. Now, right here, Hinox, again, dark as shit. I can't really tell what's going on half the time, so I just take advantage of bomb arrows pretty much as long as I can. Shock arrows don't really seem to do too much to it, so I'm just trying to keep my distance and shoot it with arrows because I actively cannot tell where anything is, and I don't feel ballsy enough to take a chance at this point in time. So... yeah, it was tricky, but it all worked out. Looking around the environment, I think it's curious how sometimes they'll put stuff like TNT in here, because I'm trying to think to myself how you could strategically use something like that. Right there, I was a dumbass, and I was running towards the mushrooms, and I was like, oh shit, there was a fairy, so I let one fairy get away, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, good God, if I end up dying twice, I'm going to be madder than hell for a couple reasons. Primarily knowing that I could have survived had I not scared the fairy away, but thankfully that didn't happen. Yeah, it's kind of cool that it progressively goes on. I like that I have a tunic now. There's, I guess, your best preview of Link in the actual tunic, because as of this point, I mean, we didn't buy the Highling tunic, although I am considering buying the amber earrings just so I have something super high in defense just to have. As far as this, I take full advantage of the water around me using the Thunder Rod. I don't feel like my reflexes were good enough, and I felt like I took more damage than I should have, but it worked out. I would have liked it if it had been better, because I'm a stubborn-ass perfectionist. As far as the song here, I don't know, I just felt like this seemed to work for whatever reason, so I just went with it. But, the best thing, I thought I saw something around the corner, that was why I was running back. The best thing here was this happy accident, where they hide this chest, but I was like, you know what? That guy was there, I froze him, and then I just used the block and just batter everyone with it. That made a huge-ass difference. I don't know who else thinks to take advantage of that, but that made a huge difference. And then as far as this, all these guys just take a single arrow, just try and run, and then shoot them one by one. Because if you walk, you're going to get pelted like I did. And then these two guys are kind of annoying, but I don't know, I think I handled it quite well. Just debating on what items I want to take with me. And then, this is also kind of a thing that intimidates me, because it's like they stack so much on you, so it's like you got two competent guardians against you, and you gotta hope you can pull through. I don't know what or how or why I did it, but I did it, and I don't know if I feel I deserve it or if I just am good or what, but it turned out pretty good and I didn't struggle too much. And as weird as this sounds, right here, this is the boss fight against, the major test of strength guardian, and as weird as it is, that relieved me, because I was like, alright, this is it, it's a one-on-one fight, I know for a fact I can do this, I know for a fact I can handle this. Taking advantage of stasis as much as I can, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's the idea that I know I'm going to use a lot of items, but I also know I can handle it. It's a weird comfort feeling to have this giant challenge, but know that you can do it. That's the best way I can think to describe it. As little sense as this may sound, I think I found that easier. So, it doesn't really matter. The point is just to heal myself as of this point. I guess if I want to take a benefit, I could try and do that. But this was the primary thing. I just want to get these two done. Now I guess we can go ahead and maybe focus on the towers or something. Is there anything else? I'm glad this turned out, because now we got a much stronger Master Sword, and whenever I feel like I know how skilled I need to be for the last one, I'll do the last one. But as for right now, I'm just going to say end of game. So, unless something proves me wrong, we'll do this one, just to keep it. Ah yes, flavor text we've read before. Now the Master Sword really kicks ass. Really kicks ass. Okay, so these two are shrines, I know that for a fact. Honestly, I feel kind of weird about putting a Traveler's Medallion there anyway, because once I find the tower, I'm going to want to explore up until that point to begin with, so I feel kind of dumb for even doing it. But as for... Would it be dumb? I think the best course might be to go here and then see if I can spot the tower and maybe fly that way, because my original plan was to be here. But then I'd be crossing through this region. I don't care about this region right now. So maybe we'll go Hebra Tower and see what we can spot, which means I should probably dress for the occasion. Oh, apparently I'm already dressed for the occasion. Now I suppose I can use this footage right here as proof that if I went ahead and just went for the tower, we could have added this little bit of 5 minutes to the last part, but I don't know. I figured it wasn't going to happen because I figured my luck, I'm going to stumble across a shrine or some dumb shit like that, and it wouldn't have been worth it for me to try and pursue it, which is why the last one was 25 minutes, and I don't feel like any of you have a right to bitch at me, because you got like a 43 minutes out of the Gerudo one, plus, I don't know, I'm the kind of person who doesn't like super long videos, and I don't understand why that's a thing a lot of people ask for, because firstly, it's extra work on my end. I have to work twice as much, twice as hard to get the same amount of content out to you. Secondly, I only have so much time in my fucking day, so like if I'm going somewhere, I don't always have 30 minutes every day to spare, as where 15 minutes is a lot more reasonable. Tie that in with the amount of people who have like 1 million subscriptions, you know, it's something else. Now, going on with what's actually happening in the footage, we happily stumbled across Dinral. That was just a happy coincidence, decided to go with it, grab a scale while we were at it, and like, this is a point where I'm not sure whether or not I want to like try and remember this spot, because it is easy to go ahead and get him. You're at a nice angle to do that, but at the same time, the time is like midnight for him to show up, and that's not exactly the most convenient time, because if you can get it, like, let's say, I think Farouche was first thing in the morning, start a fire, wake up, boom, there he is, act at the point. So right there, you can see me put the archery mark there just in case, because I'm like, maybe I'll need it, but I'm not too crazy about the idea of this spot. I guess it's there if you want it, but getting that done at least sorts out half of the thing, which means now we've got all of the scales for all the springs fountains. We already took care of Farouche and Nadra. Dinral was the last one, and that was a case of like, I knew at some point I was going to have to go out of my way to actually get the scale, but this time I didn't actually have to. It just kind of happily worked itself out, and I was alright with that. Admittedly, climbing this fucking wall is getting on my last damn nerve, because like, I look at all the amount of stamina ups I'm using and I'm like, good god, I can't wait till I'm done with this shit. But at the same time, you could also argue, you know, maybe I should have upgraded my stamina, but like, that was probably 5 wheels I just went through, so I would have had to use stuff anyway. And upon bombing that stuff and uncovering those gems, I learned that apparently the boulder breaker can actually just plow through piles of rubbled rocks, which makes me curious if the sledgehammer can. I wouldn't be surprised, it would make a lot of sense. I just never thought to try anything like that before. I just always used bombs because, I don't know, I just feel like that's a natural instinct that I'm conditioned upon thanks to this game. Now I go ahead and I try and climb around looking for an opening, and I was like, well, hold on, this doesn't make sense. There isn't a fucking opening. So I give up, walk around in the goop, and then I'm just like, alright, well, what am I doing? How do I get somewhere? Trying to think of a better way to climb up on top of it, but it kind of doesn't work itself out. So I go around in a circle, and then I notice that little eye there, and, you know, give it a shot, and son of a bitch, apparently that's supposed to be the way you do it. So the rest of this is just climbing up with no disturbance. Guys, I think we have a lot of shrines we need to cover as well. I'm going to focus on this one first, considering, where did it go? This one, considering Spring of Power. I just put that there just in case. That's not really the... Up here is where I prefer grinding Dinral stuff, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'll see if maybe this one can be useful. But other words, we got like so much stuff to go look around and do. It's pretty crazy, but I guess I'm gonna go try and do all that stuff, then maybe call it a day. And then maybe next time start up with the Rito stuff. It is kind of like a very quick pace to go from Gerudo to Rito like that. As to where I feel like going from Death Mountain to Gerudo was, I'll say, adequately spaced, I don't know. Also, That's actually just the treasure chest theme. It's just slowed down. That stuff is all just the treasure chest. I learned so much about the music in this game recently. I'm like, holy shit. They were really smart when designing it, because they did it in such a clever, subtle way where it's like everyone complains about the music. Admittedly, I did too. But it's all still there. It's just disguised really well. And I don't know if I should be impressed or upset at that, because it's like, well, you fooled me. There's still some things like I've heard, but I haven't seen the proof to back it up. But like, I'm going to believe it because it, I don't know, unless someone debunks it and tells me I'm wrong. I'm like, alright, I'm going to trust that people just don't lie on the internet. In other words, first things first. All the way over here. Spring of Power.